Commander Ta Kim stood tall in his crisp blue uniform as the human ship docked with the alien vessel. His heart beat fast, but his face showed nothing. This was humanity's big moment. First contact with the Vector. "Are you ready, sir?" asked Security Officer Jun Park. The younger man checked his small gun one more time. "As ready as I'll ever be," said Ta. "Remember, weapons stay holstered. We come in peace." Jun nodded, but Tai saw worry in his eyes. The 10 other team members lined up behind them. Scientists, language experts, and 2 more security officers. All of them had trained for years for this moment. The airlock door slid open with a soft hiss. A strange smell hit them first, something like wet soil and metal. Then came the clicking sounds. The Vector waited on the other side. They stood on 6 legs, their bodies covered in hard plates that shimmered blue-green under the lights. Their front limbs ended in what looked like hands with 3 long fingers. Their heads had 4 black eyes that didn't blink. "Greetings," Ta said clearly. The language team had sent signals ahead for months. "We come from Earth seeking peaceful exchange between our worlds." The lead Vector's mouthparts moved. A series of clicks and whistles came out. The translation device on Ta's wrist buzzed, then spoke. "The harmony of hives accepts your presence." Tai smiled and stepped forward, holding out a small box. "A gift from Earth. Art from our world." The Vector leader took the box with one 3-fingered hand. For a moment, everything seemed fine. Then all 4 of its eyes flashed red. It threw the box to the ground and made a high-pitched sound that hurt Ta's ears. "Sir," Jun shouted, reaching for his gun. The wall behind the Vector slid open. Something big moved in the shadows. "Hold position," Tad ordered, raising his hands. This could be a misunderstanding. It wasn't. The creatures that rushed into the room were twice as tall as a man. They ran on 4 thick legs, while 2 front limbs ended in sharp claws. Their heads were all teeth and eyes. Clear liquid dripped from their mouths, smoking where it hit the floor. "Weapons free," Tay yelled, but it was too late. The first beast jumped at Dr. Han, the head scientist. Her scream cut off as its jaws closed around her upper body. The security team fired their guns, but the energy blasts just made black marks on the creature's armored skin. "Fall back," Ta shouted, grabbing the arm of a frozen language expert. "Back to our ship." The room turned into chaos. The beasts moved faster than seemed possible for their size. One security officer got his arm torn off. Another beast pinned down the youngest scientist and melted his face with drops of acid spit. Jun fired shot after shot at the nearest creature's eyes, finally making it back away with a screech. "This way," he called to Ta, who was helping a wounded team member toward the airlock. The wounded woman pushed away from Ta. "Go. I'll hold them off." "No." Tai reached for her, but Jun pulled him back as another beast charged. The airlock door began to close. The last thing Tai saw was his brave team member pulling a small bomb from her pocket as the beasts surrounded her. The explosion rocked the docking tube. Tai and Jun fell into their ship's entry room just as the emergency systems kicked in, sealing them off from the vacuum of space. "Get us out of here," Ta shouted into his comm unit. "Emergency departure." As their ship pulled away, Ta looked through a viewport at the massive Vector ship. More beasts were being led out onto its surface, somehow alive in space, clawing at the hull of the human vessel as it escaped. "What just happened?" Jun asked, blood running down his face from a cut on his forehead. Tay's hands shook as he helped Jun to a seat. "War," he said simply. "They just declared war." The ship jumped to faster than light speed, heading home to warn Earth. But Ta knew the warning might not be enough. Those war beasts would be coming, and humanity needed to prepare. Lieutenant Hannah Lee walked between rows of kennels, stopping to pat the head of a large German shepherd. The dog's tail wagged, but Hannah noticed the metal plates along its back and the small blinking light near its ear. "How is Beck doing with the new implants?" she asked the technician following her. "Very well, ma'am. His strength is up 40%, and the neural link is stable." Hannah nodded and moved on. The underground facility housed 50 dogs, all part of Earth's enhanced animal program. For 3 years, they had trained these animals for search and rescue, disaster response, and medical support, not for war. That was about to change. "Lieutenant Lee, they're waiting for you in the meeting room," said a young soldier at the end of the hallway. Hannah straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. 1 week had passed since the disaster of first contact. 1 week since Commander Ta Kim and Officer Jun Park had returned with news that made the whole world afraid. She entered the meeting room and saluted. 5 generals sat around a large table, their faces grim. "At ease, Lieutenant," said General Du Sol, the oldest man in the room. His hair was white, but his eyes were sharp. "Please, sit." Hannah took a seat as a screen on the wall lit up with images that made her stomach turn. The pictures showed the alien war beasts tearing through the human diplomatic team. "These images were captured by Commander Kim's Stoop camera," explained General Du. "As you can see, conventional weapons had little effect on these creatures." A younger general pounded his fist on the table. "We need bigger guns, more powerful ships." "That will take time we don't have," said another. "The Vector fleet will reach Earth in 3 months." General Du Sol cleared his throat. "Lieutenant Lee, tell us about your program." All eyes turned to Hannah. She stood up straight. "Sir, the Enhanced Animal Program currently has 50 dogs with neural implants and physical augmentations. They are trained for rescue operations, not combat." "But they could be, couldn't they?" asked General Du. Hannah hesitated. "Theoretically, yes. The enhancement technology is adaptable." The younger general laughed. "You want to send dogs against those monsters? Did you see the footage?" General Du Sol didn't smile. "The Vector think they've invented war beasts, but humans have been working with animal partners for thousands of years. We don't control our animals. We cooperate with them." He turned to Hannah. "Lieutenant, I'm putting you in charge of a new program, Operation Best Friend. You will prepare your animals for combat operations." "Sir," Hannah said, "these animals are not weapons. They're partners." "Exactly," said General Du. "And that's our advantage. The Vector created slaves. We have allies." After the meeting, Hannah walked back to the kennels with a heavy heart. The dogs sensed her mood and watched her with curious eyes. Her assistant, Technician Jun, approached with a tablet. "Orders came through, ma'am. We're to begin combat training immediately." Hannah stopped at a kennel where a black dog sat watching her. Its name was Dury, her personal partner for 2 years. "We're also getting more resources," Jun continued. "They're sending us the best trainers and more animals, not just dogs. Dolphins, ravens, even some experimental work with enhanced insects." Hannah opened Dury's kennel and knelt beside him. The dog licked her face. "What's wrong with more resources?" Jun asked. "Isn't this a promotion?" Hannah stroked Dury's fur. "These animals trust us. Now we're going to send them to fight aliens." "Better them than people," Jun said quietly. Hannah shook her head. "Not instead of. With." That's the point General Du was making. The Vector used their beasts as tools. We work with ours as team members. She stood up with new determination. "Get the staff together. If we're doing this, we'll do it right." As Jun left, a screen on the wall blinked on. Commander Ta Kim's face appeared. "Lieutenant Lee, I'm Commander Kim. I've been assigned to work with your division." Hannah saluted. "Welcome to the K9 Division, sir." "I've seen what we're up against," Ta said, his eyes haunted. "Do you really think this can work?" Hannah looked at Dury, sitting alert at her side. "The Vector unleashed war beasts on us," she said. "But we've trained worse." The training field echoed with barks and shouts. 2 months had passed since the formation of Operation Best Friend, and time was running out. The Vector fleet would reach Earth's orbit in just 4 weeks. Hannah watched as a team of handlers worked with their dogs on attack patterns. The animals wore light armor that protected their vital organs while still allowing them to move fast. Small devices on their heads helped them communicate better with their human partners. "Impressive," said Commander Tai as he joined her. 2 months ago, these were rescue dogs. "They're still rescue dogs," Hannah said firmly. "We're just rescuing all of humanity now." Ta smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Since returning from the failed first contact, he rarely smiled for real. "General Du wants an update on the special units." Hannah nodded and led him to a different part of the facility. They entered a large room with a pool in the center. In the water, 3 dolphins swam with strange devices attached to their bodies. "The Marine Unit," Hannah explained. "They'll help defend our space stations and orbital platforms. The gear lets them survive in space for up to 6 hours. Dolphins in space," Ta shook his head. "If you had told me this 3 months ago." "And here's the Air Unit," Hannah continued, moving to another section where large ravens and hawks wore tiny backpacks and eye devices. "They're perfect for recon and small-scale sabotage." A scientist approached them with a tablet. "Lieutenant Lee, the new neural interface is ready for testing." Hannah's face lit up. "This is what I've been waiting for." "Come on, Ta." They entered a lab where a young soldier sat next to a German shepherd. Both wore headsets connected to a machine. "This is Private Min and his partner Nova," Hannah said. "Min, show the commander what you've been working on." Min nodded and closed his eyes. The dog, Nova, stood perfectly still. Then, without any verbal command, Nova moved to a table, picked up a specific tool from many similar ones, and brought it back. "No commands given," Hannah said proudly. "The neural link allows them to share thoughts, simple ones, at least." Ta looked impressed. "How many can use this technology?" "Only 10 pairs so far. Min and Nova have the strongest connection we've seen." Later, Hannah and Ta met with Jun Park, who had been working with the intelligence team. The 3 of them stood in a room filled with screens showing Vector ship movements. "We've decoded some of their communications," Jun explained. "The Vector are split into hives, each with a queen. They see other species as either threats or resources." "Resources?" Hannah asked. "Tools," Ta said grimly. "Like they're war beasts. We've learned those creatures aren't just animals. They're sentient beings the Vector enslaved and modified." Hannah felt sick. "That's horrible." "It's also their weakness," Jun pointed to a map. "Their first attack will target our lunar base. They want to destroy our orbital defenses before hitting Earth. Then we'll meet them there," Hannah said. "The first K9 units are ready for deployment." That night, Hannah couldn't sleep. She got up and walked to the kennels, finding Dury awake and waiting for her. The black dog wore his new combat gear, looking both strange and familiar. "Are we doing the right thing?" she asked, sitting beside him. Dury rested his head on her lap, his eyes full of trust. The door opened, and General Du entered. The old man rarely visited the kennels. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked. "I'm worried about sending them into battle," Hannah admitted. General Du nodded. "When I was a young soldier, I worked with military dogs. One saved my life by finding a hidden bomb. I asked my commander the same question you're asking now." "What did he say?" "He said that humans and dogs chose each other thousands of years ago. We evolved together. This isn't just our fight. It's theirs too." General Du patted Dury's head. "The Vector don't understand what they're facing. They think they've created the perfect war beast, but we've spent 30,000 years perfecting the bond between humans and animals." Hannah looked at Dury with new determination. "We'll be ready for them." "I know you will," said General Du. "The lunar base is waiting for you. Your teams deploy tomorrow." As he left, Hannah hugged Dury close. Tomorrow, they would head to the moon to face the first wave of the Vector invasion. Win or lose, The real war was about to begin. Alarms blared throughout the lunar base. Red lights flashed in every corridor as soldiers ran to their positions. Through the thick windows, Hannah could see the dark shapes of vector ships approaching. All handlers to deployment zones, ordered Commander Tad over the comm system. This is not a drill. Hannah knelt beside Dury, checking his armor one last time. The dog stood calmly, his enhanced muscles tense but ready. Around them, 20 other handlers prepared their canine partners. Remember your training, Hannah told the team. Stay connected to your partners. Work as one. The floor shook as something hit the base. The lights flickered. They're breaking through the outer defenses, reported June over the comm. Be ready. Hannah led her team to the main airlock. The plan was simple but dangerous. Let the Vector war beasts in, then meet them with Earth's enhanced dogs. Seal your helmets, Tide ordered from the control room. All handlers activated their spacesuits. The dogs already wore special gear that would protect them in the lunar environment. A massive boom echoed through the base. The outer doors of the giant airlock had been breached. Stand by, said Ta. They're coming through. The inner doors began to glow red as something burned through them. Hannah positioned her team in a half circle, dogs in front, handlers behind with weapons ready. The doors melted away. Air rushed out as the room depressurized. But everyone's gear held. In the doorway stood 3 massive Vector war beasts, even bigger than the ones Ta had faced on the ship. Behind them came Vector soldiers, their insect-like bodies covered in battle armor. Now, shouted Hannah. 20 enhanced dogs charged forward, moving with surprising speed in the low gravity. The war beasts roared, their acid saliva floating in deadly droplets in the low gravity. The two forces met in a clash of teeth and claws. The war beasts were stronger, but the dogs were faster and worked in perfect teams of 2 or 3. Where the Vector beasts fought alone, the dogs coordinated their attacks through their neural links with their handlers. Hannah moved forward with Dury, her rifle firing at Vector soldiers. Through her partial link with Dury, she felt his excitement and fear, but also his determination. A war beast charged at them. It was twice Dury's size, with 6 legs and massive jaws. Dury didn't hesitate. He darted between the creature's legs, biting at the less armored spots that Hannah pointed out through their link. Another dog joined the attack, then another. Together, they brought the war beast down. Across the battlefield, Min and Nova worked like a single being. Their neural link was so strong that Nova could anticipate commands before Min even gave them. They took down a war beast with hardly a scratch. For a moment, Hannah thought they might win easily. Then more Vector poured in. New war beasts, bigger than the first ones, joined the fight. They're adapting, Ta warned over the comm. Be careful. A massive beast with extra armor plating smashed through the dog ranks. It grabbed one dog in its jaws and threw the animal against a wall. Hannah felt a surge of anger and moved deeper into the fight. Dury at her side. They targeted a Vector soldier, taking it down together. Then she heard a yelp of pain. Dury. She turned to see her partner caught in the claws of a war beast. Without thinking, Hannah charged forward, firing her weapon at the creature's eyes. The beast dropped Dury, but turned on Hannah. She fell back, her gun clicking empty. Suddenly, Min and Nova flew into action. Nova jumped on the beast's back, while Min threw a grenade that stuck to its side. They retreated as the explosion tore through the creature's armor. Hannah crawled to where Dury lay. His breathing was shallow, blood seeping through his armor. Medic. She screamed into her comm. I need a medic. Around them, the battle continued. More dogs fell, but the Vector were also taking heavy losses. Their war beasts, for all their strength, couldn't match the teamwork of the dogs and their handlers. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the Vector retreated. They dragged their dead and wounded back to their ships. They're pulling back, Tay announced. We've won this round. But Hannah felt no victory as she held Dury in her arms. The medical team worked on him, but his eyes were closing. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Please stay." Dury licked her hand once, then went still. The lunar base was saved, but at a heavy cost. 7 dogs had died, and many more were wounded. As Hannah carried Dury's body to the medical bay, she made a silent promise. This was just the beginning. The real battle was still to come. The memorial wall grew longer each day. Hannah stood before it, looking at the pictures of the dogs who had died defending the lunar base. Dury's image was in the center, his dark eyes seeming to watch her still. "He died a hero," said Ty, coming to stand beside her. "They all did." Hannah nodded but didn't speak. 2 weeks had passed since the battle on the moon. The Vector had retreated to regroup, giving Earth precious time to prepare for the next attack. "General Du wants to see us," Ta said gently. "He says you've made a breakthrough." In the lab, scientists moved quickly between workstations. Large screens showed brain scans and complicated diagrams that Hannah had spent many sleepless nights perfecting. General Du was already there, talking with Private Min and his dog Nova. The pair had become famous after the lunar battle for taking down 3 war beasts by themselves. "Lieutenant Lee," the general greeted her. "Show me what you found." Hannah gestured to the main screen. "We've been studying Min and Nova's neural connection. It's stronger than any other pair's. We think we know why." She brought up 2 brain scans side by side. "This is a normal handler canine link, and this is Min and Nova's. See the difference? Their brain waves actually sync up during operations." "Can we replicate this?" asked General Du. "I think so," Hannah said. "I've developed a new protocol, a deeper neural interface that allows for stronger connections between handlers and animals." She led them to another room where new equipment was set up. A handler and a German shepherd sat in special chairs, both wearing helmets with many wires. "The bonding protocol," Hannah explained. "It creates a 2-way link, not just commands going from human to animal, but thoughts and feelings flowing both ways." "Is it safe?" Ty asked, remembering the dangers of rushing new technology. "Safer than facing the Vector without it," Hannah said firmly. "Our first tests show promising results." General Du studied the equipment. "How many teams can use this new technology?" "With our current resources, we can upgrade 50 pairs in the next 2 weeks. Not just dogs, the Dolphin and Raven teams too." The general nodded. "Do it. The Vector will be back, and they won't make the same mistakes twice." He was right. Intelligence reports showed the Vector were adapting their war beasts, making them bigger and deadlier. Images from spy satellites showed new types with heavier armor and what looked like built-in weapons. That afternoon, Hannah visited the training area where new recruits worked with their animal partners. Most had basic neural links, but none had tried the bonding protocol yet. "Lieutenant," a young soldier approached her. His name tag read Jin. "I heard about the new bonding system. I'd like to volunteer." "Do you have a partner yet?" Hannah asked. Jin shook his head. "No, ma'am." Hannah thought for a moment. "Come with me." She led him to a quiet part of the kennel area where a lone German shepherd sat in a large pen. The dog had a white mark on its chest shaped like a star. "This is Star," Hannah said. "She was Dury's training partner. She's one of our best, but she hasn't bonded with a handler yet." Jin knelt by the pen, extending his hand palm up. Star approached cautiously, sniffed his hand, then licked it. "She likes you." Hannah smiled for the first time in weeks. "You'll start training tomorrow." Over the next days, Hannah worked around the clock to implement the bonding protocol. The first full test was with Min and Nova, whose bond grew even stronger. They could now communicate complex thoughts and even share what they saw with each other. One evening, as Hannah watched Jin and Star go through their first bonding session, Ta came with urgent news. "The Vector have changed course," he said, showing her a tablet with a map of space. "They're not heading toward Earth anymore. They're targeting the space station." Hannah looked at the dozens of teams training around them. How long do we have? 3 days, Ta said grimly. Maybe less. Hannah's mind raced. The space station housed 10,000 civilians and was a key part of Earth's defense network. If it fell, the path to Earth would be wide open. We're not ready, she admitted. The bonding protocol needs more testing. Min overheard them and stepped forward, Nova at his side. We're ready, Lieutenant, and we won't be alone. Around the room, handlers and their animal partners stopped their training to listen. In their eyes, Hannah saw not fear but determination. Then we move out tomorrow, she decided. All bonded teams will deploy to the space station. As she looked at the faces, human and animal, around her, Hannah felt a strange mix of pride and worry. The Vector thought their war beasts were the ultimate weapons. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Vector mothership hung in space like a giant dark spider. Its surface was bumpy with strange growths and weapons. 5 smaller ships moved around it, all heading toward Earth's main space station. Commander Ta Kim looked at the enemy fleet through the window of his small ship. Beside him, Jun checked their special gear one last time. Are you sure about this plan? Jun asked quietly. No, Tai admitted. But General Du thinks it might work, and we need information. Their ship was tiny and had special coating that made it hard to see on radar. Inside were Ta, Jun, Min and his dog Nova, and a new addition to the team. 3 enhanced rats in a special container. What can rats do that dogs can't? Jun had asked when they got their orders. They can go where dogs can't, Ta had explained. And thanks to Hannah's bonding protocol, these rats share a neural link with Min. They'll be his eyes and ears. Now, as they approached the Vector mothership, Ta felt doubt creep in. This mission was extremely dangerous. They needed to get close enough to release the rats, who would enter the ship through small openings and gather intelligence about the Vector's plans and weaknesses. We're in position, said Jun, checking the screens. No sign they've spotted us. Ta nodded. Min, are you ready? Min sat cross-legged on the floor, Nova's head in his lap. His eyes were closed in concentration. Yes, sir. The rats are linked to me. I can see through their eyes. Release them on my mark, Tai ordered. 3, 2, 1, mark. A small hatch opened in their ship. The 3 rats, each wearing tiny gear and cameras, pushed off into space. They were trained to use the mini thrusters on their backs to move toward the Vector ship. They're moving well, Min reported, his eyes still closed. Approaching the hull now. On a screen, Ta watched the feed from the rats' cameras. They reached the mothership and found a small crack in the outer shell. One by one, they squeezed inside. I'm in, Min whispered. It's strange in there, organic, like being inside a living thing. For the next hour, Min guided the rats through the Vector ship. They moved through narrow spaces between walls, through ventilation systems, and along pipes. Occasionally, they had to hide when Vector soldiers passed by. There's a large room ahead, Min said suddenly. Lots of Vector. Looks important. The rats found spots to hide and watch. The room was filled with Vector standing around a table with a 3D map of Earth's space station. They're planning the attack, Tai realized, watching the screen. Can you get closer? Min guided one rat nearer to hear better. The Vector clicked and whistled to each other. The translator is picking up bits, said Jun. They're talking about harvest, resources. A door opened, and something new entered the room. It was a Vector, but larger with different markings. That must be their queen, whispered Ta. The queen spoke, and the translator caught her words. The human animals are unexpected problems. Upgrade all war beasts. Full harvest of the station. No survivors. Tai felt cold. They're not just attacking. They're going to kill everyone and take the station. The rat moved to another part of the room and found something disturbing. Screens showing different types of war beasts. Some looked like the ones they had fought before, but others were new and even more dangerous. There's another room, Min said suddenly. The rats can sense pain. Lots of pain. He guided the rats through more passages until they reached a large, dark space. What they saw made even Ta, who had seen horrible things, feel sick. Hundreds of cages lined the walls, each holding a creature. Some were war beasts, but smaller and with missing parts. Others were strange animals they had never seen before. All had metal pieces attached to their bodies. They're experimenting on them, Min said, his voice shaking, creating their war beasts by force. One of the rats moved closer to a cage. Inside was a beast that looked almost like the others, but its eyes were different, aware, intelligent, suffering. They're not just animals, Min realized. They're thinking beings, and some are refusing to follow orders. That's why they're here. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed. They've detected us, June shouted. We need to go. The rats, Min cried. I can't leave them. You have to, Tate ordered. We have what we came for. Their ship pulled away just as vector vessels began to search for them. June's flying skills kept them hidden among debris until they could jump to safety. Back at their base, Tay reported everything to General Du and Hannah. The news was grim. The Vector would attack the space station with everything they had. The space station was huge, a wheel-shaped structure where 10,000 people lived and worked. Now, it was the front line of humanity's defense. Hannah stood in the command center, watching screens that showed the approaching Vector fleet. All around her, soldiers prepared for battle. The evacuation had moved most civilians to Earth, but 2,000 people remained to defend the station. All units report ready, said June, checking his tablet. Hannah nodded. And our special units. In position, Ta confirmed. The K-9 teams are at the main airlocks. The Marine unit is deployed outside. The air unit is standing by. The Marine unit was Hannah's pride. 20 dolphins wearing special gear that let them swim through space as easily as water. They carried weapons and had neural links to their handlers inside the station. The air unit consisted of ravens and hawks with mini thrusters that allowed them to fly in zero gravity. They would act as scouts and saboteurs. Vector ships approaching, announced a voice over the speakers. All hands to battle stations. General Du's face appeared on the main screen. He was coordinating from Earth. Remember your training, he told them. They have strength, but we have something better. True partnership with our animal allies. The first Vector ship attached itself to the outer ring of the station. Metal screeched as they cut through the hull. They're breaking in at Section 7, reported an officer. K-9 teams move to Section 7, ordered Ta. Marine unit, intercept the smaller ships. Through the windows, Hannah could see the dolphins moving gracefully through space, their gear glinting in the sunlight. They approached a Vector ship and placed explosive charges on its engines. Inside the station, the first war beasts broke through. They were bigger than before, with metal parts added to their bodies. They charged forward, only to meet the waiting K-9 teams. Dogs in space armor moved with perfect coordination with their handlers. Where one dog might be too small to fight a war beast, 3 working together could bring it down. Min and Nova led the charge. Through their enhanced bond, they fought as one being. Nova darted between a beast's legs while Min fired at weak points they had identified during the infiltration mission. The plan is working, Hannah told General Du. The K-9 teams are holding them back. Good, said the general. But watch for their queen's ship. Intelligence says she's commanding personally. As if on cue, a massive ship approached the center of the station. It was 3 times larger than the others, covered in strange growths and weapons. That's the queen, Ta confirmed. And she's brought something new. From the ship came creatures unlike any they had seen before, part beast, part machine. They moved through space without protection, their bodies changed to survive the vacuum. Air unit, engage, ordered Hannah. The ravens and hawks flew out to meet the new threat. They were much smaller than the beasts, but far more agile. They carried small bombs and placed them carefully on the creature's joints and eyes. The battle spread across the entire station. In some sections, the Vector were winning. In others, Earth's forces held firm. Hannah monitored everything from the command center until a massive explosion shook the whole station. "We've been breached in Section 3, shouted an officer. "War beasts are heading for the command center." "Evacuate all non-essential personnel," ordered Ta. "Hannah, you should go too." She shook her head. "My place is here." The doors burst open. 3 huge war beasts stormed in, followed by Vector soldiers. The room erupted into chaos as security teams fired their weapons. Hannah found herself face to face with a beast. It raised its claws to strike her down when a black and white blur crashed into it. Jin and Star had arrived. The young soldier and his dog fought with perfect sync, just like Min and Nova. Star jumped and bit the beast's throat while Jin fired at its legs. Outside, the battle in space reached its peak. The dolphins had disabled several ships, and the birds had taken down many of the new beasts. But more kept coming. "We can't hold much longer," Jun reported. Then Min's voice came over the comm. "Commander, we have a plan." Min and Nova had fought their way to an airlock near the Queen's ship. With them were several other K9 teams. "The Queen is the key," Min said. "If we can reach her, we might end this." Ta hesitated, then nodded. "Do it, but be careful." As the battle raged through the station, Min led a daring assault on the Queen's ship. It was a desperate plan, but they were running out of options. The fate of the station, and maybe Earth itself, now rested on the shoulders of a young soldier and his dog. Min floated through space, connected to the station by only a thin safety line. Nova moved beside him, her special spacesuit allowing her to maneuver with small jets of air. Behind them came 5 more handler dog teams, all moving toward the Queen's ship. "Remember the plan," Min told them through the comm. "We place the charges, then find the control center." The Queen's ship was massive up close. Its surface wasn't smooth metal like human ships, but looked almost like skin with scales. They found an entry point where tubes and pipes connected to the hull. "This is it," Min said, cutting through a soft spot with his laser cutter. "We're going in." The inside of the ship was warm and damp. It smelled strange, like a mix of wet earth and chemicals. The walls pulsed as if alive. "Stay close," Min told the team as they moved deeper into the ship. Through his bond with Nova, he could feel her alertness, her senses much sharper than his own. They placed explosive charges at key points based on the information the rats had gathered. If needed, they could destroy the ship's engines. "Nova senses something," Min told the others. "This way." The dog led them down a narrow passage that opened into a large chamber. What they saw made them stop in shock. Hundreds of cages lined the walls, each holding a creature. Some were war beasts like those they had fought. But these ones looked different, smaller, with clear eyes that watched the humans with intelligence. "These must be the ones that refused to obey," whispered one handler. "The failed experiments." Min approached a cage where a beast with blue-green scales watched him cautiously. Unlike the mindless killers they had faced, this creature showed fear and curiosity. "We should stick to the plan," said another handler nervously. "Find the Queen's control room." Min looked at Nova, feeling her thoughts through their bond. She wanted to help these creatures. "Change of plan," Min decided. "We're letting them out." "That's crazy," objected the handler. "They could kill us." "They could," Min agreed. "Or they could help us. These beings were enslaved, just like the rats showed us." Using his laser cutter, Min opened the first cage. The creature inside stepped out slowly, its head low, watching Min carefully. Nova approached it without fear, and to everyone's surprise, the beast lowered itself as if bowing to her. "They understand," Min realized. "They know the difference between what we do and what the Vector do." One by one, They opened more cages. The creatures, once freed, didn't attack. Instead, they gathered around Min and Nova as if waiting for direction. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. A voice spoke in the strange clicking language of the Vector. "They know we're here," said one of the handlers. Min touched the head of the blue-green beast. Through his neural link, he tried to send simple images. The Vector Queen, the need to find her. The creature made a low sound, then turned and began moving down a different passage. It looked back as if telling them to follow. "I think it's helping us," Min said. "Come on." They followed the beast through winding passages, deeper into the ship. Behind them came the other freed creatures, moving silently. They reached a large door guarded by 4 Vector soldiers. Before Min could plan an attack, the freed war beasts charged forward. Their former masters didn't expect betrayal from their own weapons. The guards fell quickly. Beyond the door was the control room. Inside stood the Vector Queen, surrounded by her guards. She was much larger than normal Vector, with bright markings on her shell. The Queen made angry clicking sounds when she saw the humans and the freed beasts. She barked orders, and her guards moved to attack. What followed was chaos. The freed creatures fought with unexpected fury against their former masters. Min and Nova targeted the Queen herself, while the other handlers planted charges on important-looking equipment. "For Earth," shouted Min as he fired his weapon. The Queen retreated to a raised platform. She pressed something on a panel, and a screen lit up showing the space battle outside. To Min's horror, he saw that despite their brave fight, Earth's forces were losing. More Vector ships had arrived. The space station was taking heavy damage. The Queen made sounds that the translator in Min's helmet turned into words. "Surrender now. Your station falls. Earth is next." Min looked at Nova, then at the freed beasts fighting alongside them. An idea formed in his mind. Dangerous, maybe impossible, but their only hope. "No," he told the Queen. "You're the one who should surrender, because you made one big mistake." "What mistake?" clicked the Queen. Min smiled grimly. "You treated thinking beings like slaves, and now they're free." He pressed the button that would send a message to all their forces. The real battle was about to begin. Min's voice crackled through the comm system, reaching every human and animal fighting on the space station. "The war beasts can be turned. They're thinking beings, and they've been enslaved. Show them there's another way." In the command center, Hannah looked up from the battle screens. "What is he talking about?" Ta, who had seen the cages during the infiltration mission, understood first. "The war beasts aren't just weapons. They have minds of their own, and they might choose our side." Throughout the station, handlers and their animal partners began to change their approach. Instead of just fighting the war beasts, they tried to communicate with them. Star, Jin's dog partner, approached a cornered war beast, not with aggression but with a clear posture that dogs use to show peaceful intent. Through their bond, Jin projected feelings of cooperation, not control. At first, nothing happened. The war beast snarled, its claws ready to strike. Then, slowly, it lowered its massive head. The same scene played out across the battlefield. Dogs, dolphins, and birds, all enhanced with the neural technology, became bridges between humans and the Vector's living weapons. Not all war beasts responded. Many were too changed, their minds gone, but enough did that the tide of battle began to turn. Inside the Queen's ship, Min faced the enraged Vector leader. "This changes nothing," she clicked. "They are tools, not allies." The blue-green beast that had helped them stepped forward, facing its former master without fear. It made sounds that seemed almost like speech. "They disagree," Min said. "You changed their bodies, but you couldn't take away their will." The Queen backed away, calling more guards, but throughout her ship, the freed beasts were spreading the rebellion. War beasts turned on their Vector handlers, smashing control systems and freeing more of their kind. "The Queen is escaping," shouted one of the handlers as the Vector leader entered a small pod. Min didn't try to stop her. Instead, he pressed the detonator for the charges they had placed, not to destroy the ship, but to disable its weapons and engines. "Let her go," he said. "Let her tell the others what happened here." On the main battlefield, the Vector forces fell into confusion as their bioweapons rebelled. Some war beasts turned on their masters. Others simply stopped fighting and stood still, watching with intelligent eyes. "They're retreating," someone shouted over the comm. Sure enough, the Vector ships were pulling away from the station, heading back to their fleet. Hours later, the Queen's disabled ship drifted in space, now controlled by the humans and their new allies. Min and Nova stood on the observation deck of the space station, watching as the Vector fleet jumped away into deep space. "They'll be back," Ta said, joining them. "But we'll be ready." Hannah approached with Jin and Star. "The General wants to speak with you." On the screen, General Du looked tired but proud. "Well done, all of you. This victory belongs to every species that fought together today." "What happens now?" Min asked, looking at the freed war beasts that had chosen to stay with them. Over 100 had survived, representing dozens of different species from across the galaxy. "That's what I wanted to discuss," said the General. "Lieutenant Lee has a proposal." Hannah stepped forward. "I'm forming a new division, interspecies cooperation. We'll work with these beings, learn from them, and help them heal from what was done to them." "And if the Vector return?" asked Jin. "Then we'll face them together," Ta said firmly. 3 months later, Min stood on a hill overlooking a large compound on Earth. Nova sat beside him, and next to her was the blue-green creature they had named Sky. Through their neural link, Min could sense Sky's contentment as it watched the sunset. The compound was home to the Interspecies Cooperation Division, where former war beasts now lived and worked with humans and Earth animals. Some had become partners to handlers, forming bonds like those between humans and dogs. Others were still learning to trust. Hannah joined Min on the hill. "The memorial service is tomorrow," she reminded him. Min nodded. They would honor all who had died in the conflict: humans, dogs, dolphins, birds, and even the war beasts who had fought for freedom. "Do you think they understand what they were part of?" Min asked, looking at Sky and Nova. "I think they understand better than we do," Hannah said. "They know the difference between being used and being respected." As the sun set, Sky made a sound that Min now recognized as happiness. Through their growing bond, he felt what the creature felt, not the simple emotions of an animal, but the complex thoughts of a being that had chosen its own path. The Vector had unleashed war beasts on humanity, thinking that force and control made the strongest weapons. Earth had responded not with bigger guns or stronger ships, but with partnerships formed across species lines, bonds of trust and cooperation that proved more powerful than any weapon. If the Vector returned, they would find not just humanity waiting for them, but a new alliance of beings who understood the true meaning of strength.